Hare Krishna, welcome everyone to our weekly Bhagavad Gita class. So we will begin with the Mangalacharan prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakayam Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Shagrajatam Shahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Shahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhuvya Evacham Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we will continue our discussion on Bhagavad Gita. So we have completed till chapter 2. In the initial chapter, Arjuna presented 4 arguments for not fighting. He is becoming compassionate to the relatives. He is not able to fight. And in the second chapter, Lord defeated this argument using Atma Tattva or the science of soul. Second argument given by Arjuna is no enjoyment, that if all my relatives die in the battlefield, with whom I will enjoy. So Krishna refuted the argument by Sakam Karma Yoga, that if you fight, then only, even if you are aspiring for material pleasure, then also you should fight. If you fight and you win, then you will get the kingdom. And if you fight and you die on the battlefield, you will get heavenly pleasure. So fighting gives you material pleasure in either cases. But if you do not fight, it will lead you to blasphemy, dishonor, and sinful activity. And for a Kshatriya, dishonor is worse than death. So therefore, you should fight, even if you are aspiring for enjoyment or so-called material enjoyment. The third argument presented by Arjuna was sinful reactions, that if I kill my relatives, then it will be sinful. Although the relatives Arjuna is talking about, they are Kauravas, they are actually sinful and they are on the side of irreligion. So as a Kshatriya, it is Arjuna's duty to kill the irreligious people or who are miscreants, creating havoc in the earthly planet. It is a duty or dharma for a Kshatriya, but out of attachment to the family members, Arjuna is presenting this argument that won't I commit any sinful activities by killing them? So then Krishna presented the Niskam Karma Yoga, that if you do it in an unattached way, and if you do it as an offering to me, so it is your duty, but you have to do your duty without attachment. You should not aspire anything from your work. So if we are doing work without any attachment, then we will not suffer the sinful reactions of that work. But if we do something with attachment to the fruits of the work, by focusing on the fruits, if we do something, then we will be getting the sinful reactions. So Krishna clarified this thing by Niskam Karma Yoga, that first of all, it is your duty as a Kshatriya to kill the miscreants. So there is no sinful activity as such. And even if you think there is sinful activity, if you are doing it and doing your duty of Kshatriya Dharma, you are executing your Kshatriya Dharma in an unattached way. You are not attached to the fruits. You are just doing as an offering to the God. then you will not be encountering any sinful reactions. So the fourth argument is not yet refuted. It will be refuted in the third chapter. We'll see in the third chapter today. But now here comes some problem. So second chapter ends by answering this third argument, which is Niskam Karma Yoga. We have already discussed this Niskam Karma Yoga, refutation of the sinful reactions. And Krishna is prescribing what? That you should work in an unattached way. You should not be attached to the fruits of your action. And then Arjuna asks one question, that is there someone who has already achieved this stage of Niskam Karma Yoga? So if someone has already achieved this stage, what are the qualities of such a person? So the qualities are called the qualities of Sthita Pragya, and we have discussed these qualities in the rest of the second chapter from verse number 54 to 72. Now, before refuting the fourth argument, Arjuna is asking another question in the beginning of the third chapter. And that's how third chapter begins. In the beginning of the third chapter, Arjuna is asking that, wait, I am confused by your words. You are doing me to work in an unattached way, and you are motivating me to fight. You are telling me that fighting is my Kshatriya Dharma, I should fight. But while explaining the Niskam Karma Yoga, so Niskam Karma Yoga is from verse number 30 to 53. So in one of the verses, while explaining Niskam Karma Yoga, which is 2.49, Krishna says, Dure nahi yavaram karma buddhi yoga dhananjayam buddhau sharanam anvicha kripana falahetavam. So this word buddhi yoga refers to Niskam Karma Yoga. So here Krishna is telling, you perform buddhi yoga. And by performance of buddhi yoga, what you do? Dure nahi avaram karma. Keep all abominable activities far distance by devotional service and execute buddhi yoga. So Arjuna is confused in this line that, okay, so Krishna is telling me to keep all abominable activities far distant. And this fighting is an abominable activity because fighting involves many murders. We have to kill different persons. So fighting is an abominable activity. Krishna is prescribing me to follow buddhi yoga. That means I should not fight. On the other hand, Krishna is also motivating me to fight. Throughout different verses of the second chapter, Krishna has refuted Arjuna's argument and motivated to fight. So Arjuna is confused. What do you mean? Should I keep the fighting away or should I fight? This doubt is why Arjuna is having this doubt, because Arjuna could not understand the concept of working without attachment properly. So Arjuna is thinking, okay, Krishna is telling me to become unattached toward the fruits of my action. And Arjuna does not have any conception of how we can work without attachment. And this is our general question also. For someone who is hearing Gita for the first time, it is very astonishing that you have to work, but you cannot expect anything out of your work. This is very, very inconceivable. And suppose I am studying, I am obviously studying for getting good marks. So Gita is telling you have to study as a duty and you should not aspire for the results, because the results is not only a function of your hard work. There are several factors. All these different factors are responsible for the output. So if you unnecessarily become attached to the output that I have to get good marks or I have to get a promotion, then you may be discouraged in your attempt. So therefore, do your duty and accept whatever comes as the output. That is God's desire. So do your duty. So do your best and leave the rest on the Supreme Lord. So Arjuna could not understand how can a person work, but at the same time, he would not expect the results. This is impossible for Arjuna. So Arjuna is thinking, okay, so if Krishna is telling me to become unattached to my fruits of my work, then I think Krishna is indirectly telling me to not to work. Because if I work, 100% I will get attached to my fruits of work. So getting detached from the fruits of work, that means Krishna may be indirectly telling me to not work. So therefore, Krishna is indirectly telling me not to fight, and also Krishna is telling me to fight. So this is the doubt of Arjuna, because Arjuna could not comprehend the concept of work without attachment. Now, in this chapter. Therefore, this whole chapter is named Karma Yoga, third chapter. So, Karma Yoga means work without attachment is described in detail in this chapter because of this doubt of Arjuna. And in the process of answering this doubt, Krishna will also eventually refute the fourth argument which Arjuna gave in the first chapter. So let's see what Arjuna is asking. The first verse of the third chapter. Arjuna uvacha jayasi chet karma naste mata buddhir janardhanam tam kim karmani ghore mam niyojayasi keshava. Arjuna said, O Janardhan, O Keshava, why do you want to engage me in this ghastly warfare? If you think that intelligence is better than fruitive work. So in this verse, Krishna has told that you perform buddhi yoga, means you perform the yoga of the intelligent person. And by performing buddhi yoga, you keep away all the abominable activities. So what Krishna really meant, that abominable activities means what? Arjuna is misunderstanding the word avaram karma. The word avaram karma means abominable activity, and Arjuna is misunderstanding this as warfare, that fighting is an abominable activity. But no, fighting is a dharma for a kshatriya. Then what Krishna is referring to as avaram karma? This avaram karma is sense gratification. If we do something for our pleasure, then that is avaram karma, and we have to suffer for that. Nobody can protect us from suffering. We think when we do some activity, obviously we are doing that activity because of some pleasure. We think that if I do this activity, I will be happy. So that activity is meant for my pleasure. So 100% I am attached to my fruits. And therefore I will suffer for that karma. I will not get enjoyment. I may get a temporary enjoyment, a few milliseconds. But I am generating a new karma, and for that I have to suffer. This simple thing we cannot understand sometimes. Whenever we do something for our pleasure, we generate karma and we have to suffer for that. We won't get pleasure, but we think mentally that I will get pleasure, but actually we will not get. So what Krishna is prescribing, that you stop all this avaram karma. Don't try to have pleasure by satisfying your senses. Don't do sense gratification. But what you should do your work as a duty, become unattached to the fruits of your work, and do everything as a satisfaction of the Lord. Do everything as an offering to Lord. When we try to satisfy the Lord, then we will get actual satisfaction, actual pleasure. Just like I have given this analogy multiple times, a small finger, till the time it is attached to the body and it is serving the body, it will get nourishment, and that's the perfection. If the finger gets separated from the body and it wants to get nourished by itself, then it will die after some time. So therefore we have to, if we want pleasure, if we want happiness, we have to be connected to the Supreme Lord. Disconnecting from the Supreme Lord, we can never be happy. And we are trying to become happy for millions of lifetimes, still we are not happy because we are disconnected from the Lord. The moment we connect to the Lord, we realize that this is the source of all happiness. So Arjuna misunderstood this point, and therefore he is asking that, please tell me, what do you want? You already mentioned that buddhi yoga is better than this ghastly work, and you are also telling me to fight. So please explain me this. Okay. In the second verse, Arjuna says, Yamishrene vakyena buddhim mohayashiva me tadekam vada nischitya yena shreyo hamapnuyam. My intelligence is bewildered by your equivocal instructions. Therefore, please tell me decisively which will be most beneficial for me. So please give me a decision. Tadekam vada nischitya. Tad ekam vada. Please speak one thing. I am confused by two things. Some of your statements are telling me to fight. Some of your statements are telling me not to fight. Krishna is telling the same thing, but Arjuna is misunderstanding. And Arjuna is misunderstanding. That does not mean he is a foolish person, but he is afflicted by the yoga maya of the Supreme Lord. For that particular time, Krishna is asking the questions through Arjuna. Arjuna is behaving like an ordinary person so that Krishna can teach all of us through Arjuna. So that's the point. Arjuna is a very scholarly person and he is a pure devotee. Whenever Krishna comes, Arjuna also comes to take part in the pastime of Krishna. So he is a very exalted devotee. He is a pure devotee. He has no tinge of ignorance, but still he is asking ordinary questions just to educate us. Now Krishna starts answering. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Lokesmin Dvividha Nishtha Pura Proktamaya Nagha Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam Karma Yogena Yoginam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "O sinless Arjuna, I have already explained that there are two classes of men who try to realize the self. Some are inclined to understand it by empirical philosophical speculation and others by devotional service." So where did Krishna say this? So we have to analyze and understand each and every portion of Bhagavad Gita. Here Krishna is telling, I have already explained that there are two classes of men. Where did Krishna explain? Do you remember in the second chapter what we have studied? Therefore, this summary is very, very necessary. If you see the summary, immediately you can recognize what Krishna is speaking about. So in second chapter, there are mainly the broad sections are 11 to 30, Sankhya or Jnana Yoga. And then 31 to 37, Sakam Karma Yoga. 38 to 53, Niskam Karma Yoga. So this section of Jnana Yoga or Sankhya Yoga is Krishna is referring to Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam. Means some try to understand the absolute truth by philosophical speculation. This is Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam, explained in 11 to 30 verses of chapter 2. And then Karma Yogena Yoginam means this Niskam Karma Yoga or Buddhi Yoga. Okay. So Krishna is telling, already I have described, but maybe it was not clear to you. So let me elaborate on that point. Some are inclined to understand by empirical philosophical speculation and others by devotional service. So some try to understand that, okay, I am not this body, I am soul. And Krishna is trying to tell something very, very intricate. So we have to really pay attention and understand what Krishna is trying to convey. So some people who take the path of Sankhya Yoga, what is their practice? They are trying to understand that I am not this body, I am soul. So I will not do any material activity. And I am situated in the transcendental platform. So they are thinking like that. Just by mental speculation and thinking, they are always meditating on the fact that Aham Brahmasmi. I am not this body, I am soul. And this is how I should never forget that I am soul. And I should always stay in the platform of the soul. So this is one kind of practice. Always they're meditating on the fact that we are not this body, we are soul. This is called Jnana Yoga. And to convince themselves more into it, they keep on reading scriptures, Vedanta. By reading scriptures, they convince them again and again that I am not this body, I am soul. I am not this body, I am soul. So this kind of practice is called Jnana Yoga or Sankhya Yoga. So these terminologies are very, very important. We have to memorize these terminologies. Otherwise, this will be referred again in the future. Then we will not be able to understand. If you want, we can write down also that this Jnana Yoga or Sankhya Yoga refers to meditating on the fact that I am not this body, I am soul. And that person is not doing any material activity. So rejecting all material activity and always meditating on the fact I am not this body, I am soul is the essence of Jnana Yoga or Sankhya Yoga. Now, in the other part, like Karma Yoga is devotional service, means I am offering my karma to the Supreme Lord. Jnana Yogi does not do any activity, but Karma Yogi does activity and offers that activity to the Supreme Lord. He is not attached to the fruits of the actions. He does it for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. So these are two different processes for realizing self-realization. So for self-realization, there are two processes, Sankhya Yoga and Karma Yoga. One is do work and offer your work to Krishna. And another is speculate on this thing and that I am not this body, I am soul. So technically, this Jnana Yoga is superior to Karma Yoga. It is expected that when you are able to do detached work, then we will be able to come to the stage of Karma Yoga. But now, here is one subtle difference, that Jnana Yoga is superior to Karma Yoga, but Bhakti Yoga is superior to Jnana Yoga. Now, Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga, they are very similar. Karma Yoga means that you are practicing detached work. And Bhakti Yoga means you are offering that work to Krishna. In the second chapter, Krishna already told, if you are trying to practice Karma Yoga, until and unless you do this Bhakti Yoga, you will not be able to do detached work. So to do detached work, you have to offer your fruits to Krishna, offer the fruits of your actions to Krishna. Otherwise, you will not be able to do. So in that sense, if somebody is practicing Karma Yoga by offering fruits to Krishna, he is superior to Jnana Yogi. But if one is not bringing Krishna into the picture and struggling to do detached work, so in that struggling phase, he is inferior to the Jnana Yogi. Okay. Now, in the verse 4, we see Krishna is elaborating on this point. Krishna now told that there are two paths for self-realization. Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam, Karma Yogena Yoginam. Na karma nama narambhan, na niskarmam purushasnute, na cha sannyasana deva siddhim samadhi gacchati. Not by merely abstaining from work, one can achieve freedom from reaction. Nor by renunciation alone, one can attain perfection. So now Krishna started to find out the limitations of Jnana Yoga. Throughout this chapter, Krishna will prove that Arjuna, you should do Karma Yoga. Although there are two ways, Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam and Karma Yogena Yoginam, Krishna will show by all respects that you should do Karma Yoga. So now Krishna is starting to criticize the process of Jnana Yoga. And we will see why Krishna criticizes that process. Krishna criticizes this process repeatedly in Bhagavad Gita. Here also he is criticizing. And in the 12th chapter also, he will say, Klesho adhikataras tesham abhyakta asakta chetasam abhyakta hi gatir dukhyam dehavad viravapyate. If you are performing Jnana Yoga or you are worshipping the impersonal Brahman, then your life will be miserable. Krishna is telling that. And Krishna on the other places, he says, Abhyaktam vyaktimapannam mannate mam abuddhaya. See, one who worships me in the impersonal form, they are actually less intelligent. So like this, Krishna will say that this is also one path, but Krishna never recommends this path of Jnana Yoga. Okay, so Krishna is telling, not by merely abstaining from work can one achieve freedom from reaction, nor by renunciation can one attain perfection. So generally the Jnana Yogi, what is their practice? Abstaining from work. So Krishna is telling, you should not think that only by abstaining from work, you will achieve freedom from reaction. You don't think that. That should not be thought. Nor by renunciation alone can one attain perfection. So in this way, if you abstain from work and you act like a renunciant, it's not guaranteed that you will attain perfection. Why Krishna is telling this? Because Arjuna had the doubt. Why Arjuna asked this question? Arjuna had the doubt, how is it possible to do work without attachment? It is impossible. That means maybe Krishna is telling me to abstain from my work. So therefore Krishna is now telling here that no, you should not think that by abstaining from work you will achieve freedom from reaction. No, I am not telling you that. So then what Krishna is telling? Nahi kaschit shanamapi jatu tishtatta karma krit karyate hi yavasha karma sarva prakriti jarguner. Everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the qualities he has acquired from the modes of material nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment. So Krishna is telling the living entities are designed in such a way that always they will be active. They cannot stay inactive for a single moment. You try to sit in a place quietly, it is very difficult. It seems to be a very simple act, but it is very, very difficult. You try to chant 8 hours together. This is very, very difficult. Only few personalities who have that kind of samyam, they can perform this. Like initially, when we start chanting, it is very difficult to even chant 1 or 2 rounds. We become impatient. But gradually our mind settles down and then gradually we can chant for longer hours. So during Yapa Yagyas, like Japa marathons, we chant even for 24 hours. In ISKCON, there is a concept called Yapa Yagya. So one day, we take leave from all our duties, maybe in a holiday, and then we whole day we spent in chanting, just to test us that how much taste I have developed in chanting. So these are very, very helpful, and this helps us to elevate our consciousness drastically. So only the trained devotees can do that. This is very, very difficult. So Krishna is also telling that everybody is doing something. They cannot be inactive. So even if somebody is claiming immaturely that I abstain from all material work, it is not possible. Because even if you externally do not work, your mind will be active. You'll be always thinking of something else. So that thinking is also one kind of karma. So you should not think that only by abstaining the external work, I am free from the reactions. No, your mind will be active, and you have to at least take your food and do the trivial stuff. So they are also karma. So you cannot stay without performing karma. So this is your foolishness if you think that I will abstain from all work and therefore I will be freed from all reactions. No, this will not happen. कर्मेन्द्रियाणि संयम्य य अस्ते मनसा स्मरन् इन्द्रियार्थान् विमूढात्मा मिथ्याचारः उच्यते. One who restrains the senses of action, but whose mind dwells in the sense objects, certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender. So if somebody, Krishna is telling, somebody is trying to immaturely imitate the activities of a Jnana Yogi, that externally I will abstain from all work, but internally in the mind, what he is thinking of sense objects, sense pleasures. And therefore he is called a mithyachari. He is a pretender. He is not a yogi. He is a cheater. He is mithyachari. He is not qualified for the Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yoga is a very exalted platform. When you have complete sense control, then you can sit in samadhi and you have completely disconnected yourselves from the external world. So that is a very exalted stage. But immaturely, if you claim that I have reached that stage, therefore I should not work, before rejecting your dharma, you should be attaining this stage. So Krishna is basically chastising Arjuna that, oh Arjuna, why you are trying to abstain from your work? What is your work? You are a Kshatriya and you have to fight. And what you are trying to reject your Kshatriya dharma. You can do this if you have already achieved the Jnana Yoga stage. But the way you are talking like a foolish person, I do not think that you have reached that stage. Again, I am telling Arjuna is already beyond that stage, but he is acting like an ordinary person like us. So Krishna is actually telling us, if we try to avoid our duties, then Krishna is telling, oh foolish soul, why are you thinking that you can avoid your duties? No, you are not qualified to do that. If you do that immaturely, you will be called a mithyachari or a pretender, and you have to suffer for that. Jastendriyani manasa niyamya arvaterjunam karmendriya karmayogam asakta sa vishishyate. On the other hand, if a sincere person tries to control the active senses by mind and begins karma yoga in Krishna consciousness without attachment, he is far superior. So it is better to perform karma yoga than immaturely claiming yourself that you are a Jnana Yogi. If you are an immature Jnana Yogi, that means you are a mithyachari. So that is completely offensive and you will have to suffer for that. Therefore, you should do karma yoga in Krishna consciousness. Means you do your duty and offer that to Krishna. This is how you will develop knowledge and your consciousness will be uplifted. So this is a way for persons who are not qualified, who are conditioned. For the conditioned soul, this is the process. You do your duty, but offer that to Krishna. So for example, how can we practically understand this? Suppose for students, we are studying before coming to Krishna consciousness, we were studying to get pleasure. That I will be a big famous personality. I will earn billions of dollars. And if I have money, then I will be able to buy everything. And then I will gratify my senses. And this is how I will be happy. So this is an asuric mentality of a demon who wants to always satisfy his senses. And in this way, Krishna throughout the Bhagavad Gita criticizes this thing only, that this is the biggest mistake you are doing. By this process, you will never become happy. So therefore, what you should do not do your activities for your pleasure, but offer that to Krishna. You are studying, you should think in such a way that, okay, whatever I will earn through this process, a significant percentage, I will use it in Krishna's service. And whatever required for my maintenance, I will take that. Significant percentage, I will utilize in Krishna's service, in book distribution of the Gita, in distribution of the other spiritual literatures. I will preach from my designation. So these are the different things by which we can connect our karma to Krishna. So this is called karma yoga, or acting in Krishna consciousness. So similarly, not only studying, every activity. If somebody in the house, they're cooking, so you should not think that, okay, I will enjoy this food. So we have to cook with an intention to please Krishna. So we are cooking it for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. Then we offer that food and it becomes free of karma. Then we take it. And this is how this thing will come actually in the 3rd chapter. This offering of food, the importance of offering food will come. Okay, so the main thing is Krishna is recommending karma yoga. Do your duty. Krishna is not telling you that you leave everything and become a sadhu and go to Himalayas. No. Krishna is saying do the same thing. Whatever you are doing, you do that. But do it in a different consciousness. Not in a consciousness of self-enjoyment, but in a consciousness to please Krishna. Just make this difference. Externally, you act the same. Externally, you study, you do job or whatever you are doing. Externally, you do the same thing. This is an internal change. My motivation is changed from enjoying of my senses to enjoyment of Krishna. That's all. And this will make a big difference and it will change the whole game. Niyatam kuru karmatvam karma jaya karmana sarira yatra pichate na prasidya eda karmana. Perform your prescribed duty. For doing so is better than not working. One cannot even maintain one's physical body without work. So Krishna is continuing to criticize the process of abandoning all activities and abstaining from karma. So Krishna is telling, even for the maintenance of your physical body, you need to do work. So how can you be complete? It is not possible to stay completely away from karma. So therefore, if you cannot stay completely away from karma, then what you can do? Purify your karma. Purify the karma by connecting it with Krishna. Whenever we earn some money, that money is purified by giving charity to Krishna and the Vaishnavas. So similarly, whatever talents we have, Krishna has given the talents. If we do not utilize those talents in Krishna's service, those are not purified. And the same talents will degrade our consciousness. But if we use, see, whatever money we have, whatever talents we have, everything is given by the Lord. If we are not grateful, then this is an offense. That somebody is giving you something and you are not grateful, you are thinking this is my credit. No, we should not do that. So therefore, Krishna is telling that whatever you do, perform it for the pleasure of Vishnu, not for your pleasure. That's the essence of Bhagavad Gita. And therefore, this is also one of the most important verses of Bhagavad Gita, 3.9. And you can also call this is one of the essence of Bhagavad Gita. In different verses, Krishna has spoken this essence. Yagyarthat karma nonyatra loko yam karma bandhanam tadartham karma konteya mukta sanga samacharam. Yagyarthat karma no. Yagya means what? In general, we know yagya means pouring ghee to some fire and the fire lights up. So that is also one kind of yagya. It is called Agnihotra yagya. But yagya has a general understanding. The general meaning of the word yagya is doing something for the satisfaction of Vishnu. That is called yajna. So yagyarthat karmano. Oh Arjuna, you should do karmano. You should do your activity for the satisfaction of yajna or Vishnu. So all your activities should be yajna. It is not that only pouring ghee into fire is yajna and chanting Vedic mantras. That is also yajna. But all your activities should be yajna. Eating should be also a yajna. Working in laptops will be also a yajna. How? By connecting it with the Supreme Law. If that activity is being done for the satisfaction of Vishnu, if I am doing that activity in that consciousness, it is as good as yajna. There is no difference between doing a actual Vedic yajna and working, making a PowerPoint for Krishna's preaching. Both are yajna. Both are on the spiritual platform. Okay. This thing again will be described more vividly, the yajna process in chapter 4. So Krishna is telling, do all your work as yajna or for the satisfaction of Vishnu. Why? If you do not do that, anyatra, if you do not do this, what will happen? Loko yam karma bandhana. You will be attached or bound by your own karma and you have to suffer the reactions. So obviously you do not want that. Then what to do? Tadartham karma kvanteya. Therefore, you work for the satisfaction of Vishnu. Then what will happen? Mukta sanga samacharam. You will be liberated from this bondage of work and you will experience the actual happiness. We are actually finding happiness in this world. We are trying so many means to go here and there to try and explore different things of this material world just to become happy. But we will never find happiness. If suppose I'm an owner of the house and somebody comes to my house and he is searching for a particular object. As a owner, I say, dear gentleman, you will not find that object in my house because I know each nook and corner of my house. My house does not have that. But still neglecting my advice, he is keeping on searching that object in my house. He will never get. Similarly, Krishna is telling, oh dear soul, I have created this universe. And my conclusion is this is dukkhalayam asashvatam. This universe is full of misery and whatever pleasure you get is very temporary. And we reject this advice of Krishna and we act in such a way that, oh Krishna, you do not know. Maybe you have created the world or you may have not. I do not believe you. But I'm confident that I will find pleasure in this world. Let me try so many things. So this is foolishness. This is simply wasting time. Because Krishna has created this world, he is most knowledgeable about the universe. And therefore, Gita is the most reliable source for finding happiness. So in this Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is telling that you have to work for the satisfaction of Vishnu. That is the secret. Very, very simple thing. Sometimes people tell that, oh, this spirituality is a very taxing process and I do not have time for this process. You do not require time. You have to do the exact same things, but in a different consciousness. So time is not at all required for this. It's a matter of consciousness. If we just change our consciousness, then the whole game changes. We have to do the same thing for the satisfaction of Vishnu and not for the satisfaction of ourselves. So this is the message of Bhagavad Gita. So in this first section, we have already completed this section up to verse number 9. So in chapter 3, Arjuna is asking his doubt in first 2 verses. Then Krishna answers those doubt that Niskam Karma Yoga is better for Arjuna. Okay, Krishna has criticized the process of Jnana Yoga. So when Arjuna is asking this question, Krishna is telling there are 2 ways. Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam, Karma Yogena Yoginam. You can also perform Jnana Yoga or Sankhya Yoga, or you can also perform Karma Yoga. What is Jnana Yoga? Again, I am repeating. So Jnana Yoga means meditating on the fact I am not this body, I am soul, and abstaining from all external work. This is a process, but you have to be really qualified to practice this. And Krishna is telling, I do not think you are qualified. So therefore, it is better for you to perform Niskam Karma Yoga. Otherwise, you will become a Mithyachari. if you are not qualified to perform Jnana Yoga and immaturely you give up all your activities, but in the mind, you are thinking about sense objects, your mind is not controlled, but immaturely you are claiming yourselves to be a Jnana Yogi, then you become a Mithyachari and you have to suffer for that because you are not doing, you are immaturely, you are cheating actually. So therefore, this is better for you to perform Niskam Karma Yoga. So this is one half. Another half we will discuss in the next class, that how Krishna will tell that Arjuna, this is one half of the argument. If you are not qualified for Jnana Yoga, you should not do Jnana Yoga. You should do Karma Yoga. In the next half, Krishna will say that even if you were qualified for Jnana Yoga, you should do Karma Yoga. So that is very, very interesting. Even if someone is qualified for Jnana Yoga, they should do Karma Yoga. Why? So we'll see this answer in the next class. And Krishna will give so many examples. And in that process, Krishna will also eventually answer the fourth argument of Arjuna. Krishna is very, very interesting personality. When we understand Bhagavad Gita deeply, we start to appreciate Krishna's qualities. So Krishna is explaining a doubt of Arjuna, and in that process, Krishna will answer another question of Arjuna. This is very, very interesting. We'll see this. So we have completed the first section of the third chapter, and we will continue this in the next class.